A traditional TV studio control room costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It requires these massive server racks and just consumes huge amounts of power. But today, we're doing a custom-tailored deep dive into this $799 box from HDTVSupply that, well, it weighs less than a pound, but claims to do basically the exact same job.
Yeah, it's wild. We are looking at the Kiloview KVW-MG300 V2 IP video media gateway. And our mission for you today is to really decode how this device manages to pack a massive traditional broadcast studio into something you can literally toss in a backpack.
Right. So let's jump straight into the core of what this thing actually does. Because in video streaming, your cameras, local networks, the streaming platforms, they all speak completely different languages. So is this basically a universal translator for internet video?
That is exactly what it is. I mean, you're
Yeah.
dealing with a really chaotic mix of protocols in modern broadcasting. You've got older protocols like RTMP, which is this standard language for pushing video to, say, YouTube or Twitch.
Oh, right. The classic streaming standard.
Exactly. But alongside that, you have newer ones like SRT or NDI, HX, and HLS. SRT, for instance, is specifically designed to survive spotty internet connections by minimizing latency over unpredictable networks. And this gateway supports up to 9 of these protocol cross-conversions simultaneously.
Right, 9 at the same time. So it takes one input stream and outputs it into 4 totally different formats simultaneously. It's almost like a real-time publishing house, right?
Oh, I like that. How do you mean?
Like it takes one raw manuscript, which is your video feed, and simultaneously prints it as a paperback, a hardcover, an audiobook, and an ebook, distributing them all at once without any kind of bottleneck.
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy. And that's the media server and transcoder working together. It can handle up to 50 concurrent accesses and distribute up to 9 channels of IP streaming.
Oh, okay.
And it pushes each of those to 4 different targets at the exact same time. Plus, while doing all of that, it's constantly translating older, bulkier H.264 video into the newer, highly compressed H.265 format.
Hold on, though. Doing H.264 to H.265 transcoding on the fly usually introduces massive latency. Like, that takes serious computational power. How is this tiny device pulling that off without a multi-second delay or just, freezing up entirely?
Well, it relies on incredibly aggressive hardware acceleration. The device actually maintains a decoding delay of under 200 milliseconds.
Under 200 milliseconds, that's barely even noticeable.
Right, it's practically instant. And get this, if the network connection drops packets, it doesn't just freeze up and wait for the data to arrive. It uses fault-tolerant technology, specifically forward error correction, to mathematically predict and rebuild the missing data before the viewer even notices a skipped frame.
That is wild.
Yeah, so it can maintain a perfectly clear video feed even with a 10% packet loss on the network.
Okay, so it's crunching all this data, rebuilding lost packets mathematically on the fly, and bypassing latency. But what does the person actually running the broadcast see on their end? Like, what is the visual canvas here?
Visually, it is an absolute powerhouse. It outputs up to 4K resolution via HDMI for consumer displays and 1080p via 3G SDI for professional broadcast monitors. Yeah. And you just log into a web interface and it gives you live previews of 16 different real-time streams.
16 streams, and from those 16, you pick 9 to arrange into completely custom layouts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like picture-in-picture, side-by-side grids, literally whatever you need. But usually, processing 16 concurrent video streams and rendering 4K output would require a machine with serious cooling fans that sound like a jet engine taking off.
You would think so, but this entire broadcast hub operates on less than 6 watts of power.
Wait, 6 watts? Are you kidding? And it weighs, what, 13.4 ounces? That's just 380 grams. That is literally less than my morning coffee.
I know, it completely flips the script on what professional hardware looks like today. It proves that heavy lifting in AV no longer requires heavy machinery.
Exactly. And for you listening, whether you're building a studio or just curious about where media tech is heading, this is why it matters so much. It democratizes the entire process. It takes that intimidating wall-sized broadcast server rack and shrinks it down into a highly efficient, affordable footprint.
Which really leaves us with something pretty wild to think about. I mean, if a 13-ounce box can manage the routing, translating, and decoding power that used to require a massive, dedicated TV studio control room, what happens to the entire media landscape when that level of broadcast infrastructure becomes virtually invisible and accessible to absolutely anyone?